Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, class. Sorry. I'm being absent-minded with the morning. So good afternoon. We are in class 12, week 12 in the module. Please be careful and catch up with tasks. Congratulations to those that could finish the portfolio up to today. That's a great progress. It will help you a lot by the end of the semester. In evaluations, I always remind you to continue with participation. Yes, participation in forums. For example, we have to finish a wiki that is incomplete from last week. Yes, it's part of last week's task. So we always have something to do online, if it is a wiki or forum or just individual tasks or plans, for example. So please try to keep up with that participation. It is important and it's also part of your grade. Yes, so it's an ongoing activity and will be evaluated by the end of the semester. Yes, by the end of November, hopefully. The lesson plan was evaluated as well as the micro teaching. Yes, so we are done with those two activities. They have been evaluated. They are on SGC. Yes, el sistema de gestión curricular pedía las notas, so they are done. Now, what is left is the final test unit. As a final test is the unit plan. We won't have tests, no, but the unit plan will be a group work as well. So you're very lucky to be working with others, take advantage of the time and the possibility to work with others. Yes. So that's valuable, very valuable in this module. But of course, I have to be responsible and be participative with my classmates. So we are working towards finishing this final test item. Yes, this will be presented in written in the week of the 7th of December. So we will be finishing that week and you will be presented. You will receive feedback. Of course, you know, nothing is complete until you receive feedback and you have time to and possibilities to correct, yes, to rewrite. And then the final presentation will not be micro teaching. We can discuss that. It can be micro teaching or just a presentation. Yes. So you will present your topic, which is the learning outcome and the learning objectives, the language learning objectives. Which activities are you going to do as a presentation? Yes, as a Congress presentation, for example. What is innovative in your proposal for a unit? It will be 3 classes, 1 week in which you will work around the topic with different activities and different class objectives. So each class an objective for the children to learn something. Yes, it can be to teach the time, teach food, teach parts of the body. Well, all of the topics you already know, including the skills, the soft skills, vocabulary, remember some items of grammar, syntax. So this lesson unit plan will have everything you have done in separated in different classes. Everything will be condensed there. Yes? Everything you have learned, different activities, as we said, the practice of all the skills, the soft skills. So it will be complete group work. Plus all the innovations that you want to add. Yes, work with technology. Yes, as you already know, the working groups in pairs. So everything that will be everything will be together in that unit. And the portfolio, of course. The portfolio, please keep working. Those who haven't presented your versions now for feedback, if you still want to hand it in, I can give you feedback and tell you if you need to complete something. We have just agreed that we are not including the readings. Estuvimos discutiendo y el portafolio no va a incluir las lecturas. ¿Sí? A veces tienen ustedes una tarea extra o un documento extra que es de lectura, eso no los incluimos. Y sí las reflexiones luego de cada tarea y también de los lesson plans. ¿Sí? Pensando que tenemos un lesson plan ya terminado y tendremos luego el unit plan. El class plan y el unit plan. Okay, so please, if you want me to see your portfolios and give you feedback, please, I am here to help you with that. The important thing is that by the 14th, so by the 14th of December, we have to have it finished. And that will be my last week. Yes, the week of the 20th of December. We won't meet for class or for presentations, yes. But that will be the week in which I will be correcting portfolios and unit plans, final versions, yes. So, and there will be also option for the optional cumulative test for those people who will be missing any evaluation item. Well, the organization is like this, around. We are finishing, yes. So we are here. We will do reading activities. We have to check something from last week. Remember, there is opportunity to upload your portfolios. Please, people who are coming. Good afternoon, Phoebe, Javiera, Giselle. Please, if you want me to see your portfolios, you're welcome to send them. Yes, but I need to. I need your handing them in for me to give you feedback. Yeah, and it is a good opportunity to sit down, finish, concentrate on finishing, and so that in December you're not running against time. Good afternoon, Phoebe. Nice to see you. So as you see, it's very tight, the time we have. So we have reading, writing, and we will have a week 14, week 16, and week 15 and 16 to work in preparing the unit plan. Here we will have, in this week, we will have the final version, written final version, and the presentation on the 14th. So it's really the time we have to work, only 4 weeks. So I need you to come to class, work in class, and make all the arrangements and participate in class preparing this last evaluation item. Okay, so yes, really time flies. So everything goes quickly. Do you have any questions in regards to evaluations? And work together. Yes, that's the most important thing. Okay, so every week we will be filling in these blanks. Okay, and do you remember that last week we had task 5, developing reading and writing pedagogical strategies. And just because of the organization of the course, but also because of some previous discussion that we had before, the course was organizing, designing, listening and speaking activities, the first part of the semester, and reading and writing in the second part of the semester. So that responds to different theories, yes. We know that because of the silent periods, learners and speakers in general of a language start listening and acquiring language, and then they can produce, they can speak, for example. And later, it is only later that they learn to read and write. So they are skills that require time, maturity also, and that take more time. And they need schooling as well. So when kids start going to school. Therefore, we talked about some reflection questions. They are in task 5. I do not know whether you have them. We discussed them at some point. And we discussed about literacy, yes? But it's just for reflection, just for you to complete this task, number 5. We discussed about different topics, like what are the differences between teaching English to a Spanish-speaking child who can read in Spanish and to a child who cannot read in Spanish. So remember, thinking on how children acquire and develop a language. Yeah, so thinking of what they know in the mother tongue and what they learn with a foreign language. The second question is, how is first language literacy related to second language literacy? And should children be able to use the word orally before they try to read the word or write the word? So just questions for you to think. We discussed a little bit of literacy. We are going to see there was a discussion. But this general reflection refers in general. What do you think about the teaching and practicing of the skills while you're learning a language? And remember, we started with speaking and listening and speaking. And now we will go to other skills that require, as I said, more schooling, more time, more dedication. Okay, so now this is task 5, for you to finish task 5. Okay. So this was our discussion last week. So put the skills, speaking, listening, reading, and writing in chronological order of how beginner learners should be taught in the second language or foreign language. You might think that 2 skills can be developed at the same time. Yes. So for example, when we talk of 3, 5-year-olds, what are the skills that they develop the most?
Listening.
Listening and speaking. Yes, exactly. Mainly listening. Yes, mainly. Yes. First of all, listening. So they do listening, a lot of listening, and that's why we have lots of songs, words, repetition of words, presentation of realia. Yes, real elements in the classroom, and speaking. A lot of repetition, short answers, but lots and lots of repetitions and lots of reactions towards listening. Lots of total physical response. Yes, interactive reading, aloud. Remember last year we saw them. And as the kids start going up in the years of elementary school, they also rely a lot on listening and speaking. But what do they do little by little? You wrote them here. What do they do little by little? Already by 8 years old, they already do some reading. And writing. And I think that at a certain point, this turns to the opposite. So they start reading much more than listening and writing much more than speaking. So somehow this happened in our middle school, in my times of teaching middle school. This was like a little bit upside down, yes. This came to be the first, so they read much more and they did lots of writing, lots of summary, graphic organizers, or to organize or information and so on and so forth. So, and the older they got, the more reading and writing they did and the less listening and speaking. So this was like the opposite. Somehow, depends on the schooling or the type of school and programs. Okay, so now, on the basis of this, and we did this discussion, now you have the examples. What can you say? What are the differences between teaching English to Spanish-speaking child who can read in Spanish and a child who cannot read in Spanish? So think here. In our schools, children already know how to read and or start learning how to read and write in Spanish. Yes. And here reading starts to be very important, as I was telling you. Speaking, right. So what do you think? Which is the relationship? What happens when the children do not know how to read and write in a language? And what happens when they do? Here you have the difference. What can you say? Okay, Giselle? Oh, your microphone. Anything in the chat you can also say. Come on, this is to support your task 5. So we do together, then you have this input for your task.
When they know how to read and write and everything, it's for them to learn another language or learn something else. But when they don't, it's better to make a relation between the new language and the other song.
So when they know how to read and write, Vanessa, let me check if I understood you correctly. When they know how to read and write in their mother tongue in L1, yes, L1, whatever it is, the mother tongue, in our case, Spanish, children can learn all of the skills in the second language. So that's why it is said at a certain moment, research showed that adults could learn a second language, a foreign language, much quicker. Why? Much more quickly. Why? Because they knew they were fully literate in the first language. They know how to read, write, make connections, and do summaries. They are capable of high order critical thinking. So it's much easier, yes, to learn and understand the structure of another language. So the more literacy you have, the more easier you can learn. And you will see on the internet, you have lots of polyglots, yes, linguists that like languages and they learn Swahili, Arabian, Chinese, Mandarin, Chinese, Cantonese, Chinese, whatever language, just because they know how to proceed in learning languages. But that's because you're an adult, a literate adult, yes, and you have all of these connections and you can make all of these connections. So, and you will see lots of Dr. Krashen, so a linguist that we saw in some videos, Dr. Kaufman, who is a Canadian linguist, they all publish their videos telling how many languages they're learning and telling the experiences of learning other languages, yes? So this is why, because they're literate, highly literate in one language. And so the rest of the languages just come and are easier to learn. So when children know how to read and write in L1, children can learn a second language can learn to easily and practice all of the skills. All of the skills. And if not, Vanessa, in the case they are too young, which was the comparison you made? Sorry to ask you again.
And when they don't know how to read and write and everything, they to learn easier because they missed something before. They don't have the first step to keep going.
So in the case of younger children, yes. So they don't have the connections to make with previous learning. Is that what you mean, Vanessa? In the case of younger children, they don't have previous connections, yes?
Yeah, they can relate the new language.
Yes, they can't relate, yes, exactly. The opposite of what I was saying. An adult can immediately recognize this is a subject, a verb, okay, this goes here. And by knowing a language very well, then you can transfer that. And it is easier to understand, but they can't make relations to previous knowledge of a language. Yes, exactly. They can make relations. They learn, of course, but it's a different process of learning. Yes, they can make relations to previous knowledge. Yes, exactly. And above all, with the practice of the skills. So as you see here in this example, you told me this example, classes rely mainly on listening and speaking with younger children. Yes, until they start recognizing letters and they become literate. Yes. And so how is first language literacy related to second language literacy? What we were saying. So is there a direct relation between, because of the examples I was telling you, these are professors, university professors, after they have finished, they retire, they started just learning languages just because they have the ability to make connections and relationships. So Dr. Krashen came to my university in 1916 in Orlando, and he lives in California. And he started talking to us students there about his advances with Mandarin Chinese. And you saw him just an adult already. I had seen him as a young person. We saw a video of him last semester talking about teaching German, making input comprehensible. Do you remember when he explains about teaching German, the parts of the face? And it's much older now. That video was made when he was very young or younger. He's a much older person. He keeps on learning languages and writing his experiences. And so he was learning Mandarin Chinese, and he was explaining to us his progress. But as I say, just because he's fully literate in his mother tongue, also in other languages, so he speaks Spanish, German, I do not know whether other languages, but also he was now starting with Mandarin Chinese, which is a system, a completely different system, yes, linguistic system. Okay, so how do you think first language is related to second language literacy? As we were saying, but just in your words, anyone would like to write in the chat? Come. It's easier, we write together, so then you have the answers to help you in your written work. Anyone in the chat? Come on, for extra credit. Come on, so that we finish quickly and we go to the pool. Come on, girls, we need, I think, some kind of...
Like I said before, it's related with the skills that they learn when they are child or something like that.
Yes, because it's related to previous learned skills, yes, and connections, yes, to previously learned skills, Yes, the ability to make connections, to know a language and then transfer. Yes, so I learned grammar in Spanish and then I learned grammar in English and I just made connections, transfer. Okay, so this is the subject, the verb, the object. That made sense for me. So that is related to previously learned skills and the ability to relate and transfer, the ability to learn, yes? To relate and transfer the ability to learn a language, to learn a language, yes? So I can learn after having learned Spanish, my mother tongue, after having studied, I could study English and learn the grammar of English. Then I learned German and I learned the grammar of German and so on and so forth. Yes, I could continue with Mandarin Chinese, but I think that's too extreme, but whichever other language. Yeah. But just because I am literate in at the least Spanish and English, I have learned at the same level of proficiency. Yes. And so I am now able to learn any other second language. Okay. Now, question with children, but that's adults. That's a different topic. Coming back to children, but children do the same. Yes, do the same. So once they know they're literate in their mother tongue, they know how to read and write, they can transfer that process to English, to German, to French, to whatever language. Should, this other question, should children be able to use the word orally first? They try to read or write the word? What do you think? If we come back to children. Is it better that they listen and use the word orally, or is it better that they read and write first? Think of the ages. Should children be able to use the word orally before they try to read or write the word? There is something that you need to read about this. What do you think? They should speak. Yes, exactly. Use the word orally. Yes, orally. And there is a video probably we're going to watch the video together. It is related to recognizing sounds. Remember this very specific process of learning during the silent period. What did we say that the children did in the silent period? They recognized the sounds of the word of the language, and that is very and very important. Yes, to recognize sounds, and later they will be able to read and write the word. Yes, and recognize the sounds of the language. Yes. It is highly recommendable. Highly recommendable. And there is an activity that you will see with second language learners, English learners. Recommendable that children, yes, that children use the word orally. Yes. Use the word orally first. And that's what we do in our mother tongue. Yes, in our mother tongue, we also repeat words, first of all, orally. We listen, we keep on listening, and then we are able to speak our mother tongue. Before we can write and read, we can say the words, so we recognize the sounds of the language. And then we learn to read. This is sick, casa. Casa. Okay, before we say, we listen, then we say the word casa, and then we can read and write. Okay, do we agree? Everyone, girls? Yes? Girls? Entendí. Girls, are you okay? Are you all right? Yes. Okay, we are okay. So whenever your future students get to first grade, they have already learned. Yes, they have already learned the basics. So all of the words, all of the sounds, not all of the words, but mainly all of the sounds with which they will be able to compose words in the language. Yes, and that's the kids you're going to learn to teach to read. Yes, to read and write. But they have been using orally the language for some years. All right. Okay. And even when they are 5 years old, they already know how to write their names, but they can confuse some syllables. For example, my niece called Frida, she used to write like this. Frida, she used to, so she recognized one syllable and the other syllable, she confused D and B, and she made only one letter of the syllable. Yes, but that's when she was 5. So she could already recognize the sounds of her name. Yes, only made a little mistake. Yes, but of course that's that can be overcome when they get to 1st grade. Yes, and they learn all of the letters and syllables. And you will still see in 1st grade children that that write only one letter of the whole syllable. That can happen, and also that change some letters. Yes. But that's why? Because they have been listening to the words, the sounds of the language, so they can recognize consonants, vowels. All right. Developing reading and writing. So here we have some answers from last class. Oh, sorry. From last class, we had some answers in which we talked about literacy and what does literacy mean. Basically, literacy is the ability to learn to read and write, but also includes some use of arithmetic. So literacy also includes knowledge of numbers, and it is a lifelong process. Yes, because we are literate, but just because we keep on learning. We learn to read and write, then to use numbers, and then we continue learning more and more skills along our lives. So to be literate, we need to continue learning. What else? Explain literacy in your own words. And we have some comments made by you on what literacy is. So it's very small letters. So let us, I do not know whether it's easier to read here on the side, but literacy is knowledge and skills, development and progress of those skills. So knowledge and skills, so you keep on learning, not only content, but skills. Yes, you learn to work with technology, of course, read, write, speak, and work with technology, for example, a new skill that has been developed. Literacy is also understanding, communication, learning, and fluency. Yes, being fluent. It's also part of literacy. Interesting, interesting view. Okay. Then it's a lifelong learning process, and language, images, numbers, use of computers, all of that is implied within literacy. Yes. So there is also, for example, well, literacy is in every aspect of our lives. Of course, computers are and technology is something very near in our lives. But there is literacy. There is, apart from technological literacy, there is medical literacy. People that, for example, when they need to read a prescription, how to take medicine. That's a whole also world in which people need to become literate. It's not only learning to read and write, but understanding different contexts. Yes, economical literacy, when we don't understand what is this problem with the AFP and the money we have to pay and the percentages. So there is a whole world of economic literacy that also adults need to learn about. And so that's why this idea of progress, yes, and learn and continue learning according to your needs in life. Yes, but basically we are all literate, basically when we have access to knowledge, and that's when we read and write, basically. Básicamente el acceso al conocimiento de todos estos procesos que vemos es a través del aprendizaje de la lectura y la escritura. Básicamente, lo que en español llamamos alfabetización, pero luego tenemos todas las áreas de alfabetización en las que nos podemos desarrollar. ¿Okay? Y siempre hay más por aprender. Okay. In your groups. So last week we stopped here just because I had a doctor's appointment, but it was already the whole class had passed. In developing reading and writing pedagogical strategies. So this is the while reading section of task 5, because we needed to search in some websites. And there are also YouTube videos. So we can divide in groups and make differentiated searches, let us say, yes, in different groups, differentiated searches, so that you can, what is the final objective of making this research. So you research the sources to extract useful ideas to complete a list of principles or guidelines that you started. So we started working with some guidelines, but they were very, very brief. Yes, I will show you how were these guidelines written. I will add that slide. Okay. So these were the guidelines. So for this, in this task, these were the guidelines. I'm sorry, it's very small and disorganized, but it's here. Okay, which were the guidelines? Children age up to 4 should not read in the second language. Yes, well, it's a recommendation, we can say, yes. So we decided that this could be a good recommendation for teachers. Yes? It's a list of principles or guidelines. And you have that in the task. Yes, we discussed this in class, but you have in the task. So children who can write some words in Spanish should learn to copy or write some words in English. So they can. While they know how to write some words in Spanish, they can write some words in English. They could, yes. Not always required of them to write at this age. Children who can read in Spanish, age 8 and onwards, can learn to read and write in English. Yes, they can. They have the ability. Once they can learn in their mother tongue, they can transfer this skill, this ability. Yes, the skill. And the ability to practice and learn and develop the skill. So these are guidelines that we're going to continue writing. So this is the objective of task 5. So I will give, you have them in the task, yes, in the document. So they are included in the document. So what is the guidelines? And we need to write them in the wiki. We will finish today, yes, this afternoon. In the wiki, you're going to add your guidelines, yes? They should be written in a similar language like this, yeah? Recommendations. What should teachers do or consider, yes, when teaching reading and writing to children, yes, of different ages, but around childhood, from 4 to elementary school children until 11, 12. Yes, elementary school children. That's our age range. And so you will look for to explain some important considerations when introducing reading and writing. And we have been talking about reading and writing, what can be transferred, what is important that they do first before reading and writing, what do they do first? So all of those are recommendations, yes? And the age, taking into account the age and literacy level. So if students know how to read and write or not, what kind of considerations I need to have. And then explain that literacy in the second language depends on literacy in the first language and how this impacts teaching, learning activities. That's what we said here, yes? So if the students are literate in the first language, then that influences how I teach the second language. So you will find that, yes, in the resources. So you have all of the resources. Okay, Romina, doesn't matter. We can wait for her. Yes, Paola can come anymore. So we will devise the resources, or do you prefer to have all of the resources? So you have videos, yes, and we have reading, in which this situation of teaching second language to speakers, yes, English to speakers of other languages, let us say, is dealt with. Okay. But I wanted to share with you a video, I think first, and then we will start about how they teach sounds, yes, to children learning English as a second language. So once we have this, so we have here, we have 3. So when we have 7 recommendations, we will write them in the wiki. Yes? Is that clear? Yes, Carlos? Okay, so we will watch a video before you work in groups. All right.
Small group instruction and guided reading are critical components of the reading block. Guided reading, as defined by Fountas and Pinnell, is a teaching approach designed to help individual students learn how to process a variety of increasingly challenging texts with understanding and fluency. Small groups are made up of students with similar instructional reading levels and learning needs. Through guided reading, students learn how to develop and use strategies to construct meaning from text. Teachers pull small groups for guided reading, while other students are engaged in daily 5 activities or other valuable literacy work. Small group guided reading lessons should be carefully planned in advance of the lesson. In this video, the teacher, Kelly, will work with a small group of ESL first grade students. Data indicates that these students need support in phonemic awareness and phonics. So in the beginning of the lesson, you will see Kelly guide students in word work. The lesson starts with phonemic awareness, followed by phonics instruction, using the strategies making words and sound-by-sound blending.
We're going to work with some words today, and we're going to read a book together. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. First thing we're going to do is blend some sounds. So if I said p, what word would that be? Very good. Let's do some more. Hot.
Hot.
Wet.
Wet.
Grape. Ack.
Pack.
Sh. If.
Ship.
Ish.
Fish.
Woo. If. L.
Will.
Good. Let's do that one again. Woo. If. L.
Will.
D. A.
In this next segment, Kelly will provide phonics instruction using making words and blending.
But now let's make some words. I'm going to give you an envelope, and inside the envelope there are some letters. Go ahead and get your letters out of your envelope so we can make some words.
Making words is an active, hands-on activity in which students investigate and discover sound-letter relationships. In the blending activity, students will further their practice with letter-sound relationships by blending individual sounds to read words. Notice that the sound spelling cards are used in the blending activity to offer support to the students. Consistent use of sound spelling cards in whole group and small group instruction supports students as they develop problem-solving skills for reading and writing.
Right underneath it, the vowels. All right, check yours and see which ones of these are the vowels. All right, let's look at the sounds. What sound does an S make? M, T, P. Excellent job on the P. Make the P sound again. Let's look at the vowels. What sound does an A make? E, I. What sound does the I make? All right, you tell me the I sound. I. A. Now, let's spell the word mat. Find the letters that spell the word mat.
Okay. So as you see, this is an important activity for children for letters, but think that you do all of that knowledge or develop all of that knowledge without knowing the letters, how they are written, yes? So that is important for you to bear in mind how that is connected, yes? Sound, letters, and then words formation. Yes, it was a good example of what we were talking about. That is when children already know the sounds and the letters, yes? But previously they need to know the sounds. So the teacher relies a lot on how the letters sound individually, okay? All right, so now we will have this short break and we come back in 10 minutes, bring something fresh to drink so you wake up, something sweet. And we meet at 20 to 4. Is that okay, girls? So we revise again the work, okay? So you will receive, here is Paola. Welcome, yes, good. Hopefully everything is okay with her. Hello, Paola, everything okay? Is everything okay with your child? Paola, is everything okay? Well, okay, hopefully, yes. Okay, yes. Daphne is coming, yes. Okay, cool. We have to.
Yes, teacher. Sorry.
Okay, okay. Good to hear it. Okay, so we have the resources. So I am going to go in the groups and divide the resources. Yes, and you will have to prepare then the considerations, the list of guidelines, principles, and or guidelines for teachers to teach children in between 4 and 12 years old. Yes, so you have different stages. You have or 5, yes, kindergarten between kindergarten and 1st grade until 7th grade. Yes, so children in that range of elementary school here in Chile. And you will finish your principles to write them in the wiki in week 11. Okay? Yes, Catalina.
Se supone que ya tenemos que hacer un resumen de
Yeah,
todos los textos que vimos.
no todos, no todos. I will give you a video for each group. and two written texts. Y yo les voy a dar van a tener un video cada grupo y 2 de lectura.
Y de ahí nosotros hacemos el summary.
Yes, summary, pero que sean principios y guías. ¿Cómo tienen los profesores que enseñar writing y reading a estos niños entre 5 y 12 años? Well, it's a range, yes, it's a long range, but anyway, for elementary school students here in this country, okay? So you will be divided in your groups.
Teacher, pero
Giselle, yes, okay, another question. Giselle work with Paola and Vanessa for today to exchange ideas, okay? Yes, question, Catalina?
nosotros la semana pasada me acuerdo que hicimos la guía con Romina, Vanessa, Paola. No terminamos esa guía, entonces esa guía que igual avanzamos todas, la dividimos y la última parte queda para, no sé,
Sí, la última, this is the last part that you have to finish for the wiki, yes?
o sea que
Esta es.
el grupo que hicimos con las chiquillas y cada una se queda con esa misma guía con la cual nosotros avanzamos y la última parte la hacen con los grupos que va a designar ahora.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Okay. Entonces, for you show me, I will show you the wiki on on Educandus. Yes. So on Educandus, you have the wiki that you're going to fill in now. Only I have to show you from my browser. Okay. Girls, can you see? Week 11, Wiki 1, Pedagogical Strategies for Developing Reading and Writing Skills in EFL for Beginner Learners in Elementary School. So this is the wiki that you're going to click and add comments. Yes? So in there, you will be able to write your recommendations for teachers. Yes? Can you hear me?
Yes, but solamente publicamos el wiki, no debemos comentarle a las compañeras.
No.
Es como el foro. Ah, ya.
No es como el foro. Esto es solamente wiki. Yes, excellent. Now it's your turn to show some of the comments you will make. Yes, if you don't have 10, doesn't matter. You will be able to complete that. But share what you have done, please. Share how much you have. Please. Who would like to share?
Okay, we Romina and Daphne, no hemos avanzado tanto, pero
Okay, whatever you have.
tenemos 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Y estamos en edición, por si ve que aún estamos.
Plus the other 3 that we already have, you have 7. So it's okay. Near the plus the other 3, you have 7. Okay. Guidelines. Okay. Let us see your guidelines. The teacher should pay attention to in the learning process to students in kindergarten because performance on measures of phonological awareness has been shown to predict success in reading. Exactly. This is what the teacher was doing with older kids. Yes, phonological awareness so that they recognize the sounds of the language. And that is started in kindergarten. If not, they can start in elementary school. It depends on when they start learning English. But this is important, yes, to pay attention to phonological awareness. So repeat the sounds of the language. And that is a predictor of success in reading and writing, moreover. So it transfers that skill. Excellent. Teachers provide L1 literacy experiences to help students. Yes, but remember, we are talking about L2. Yes, L2 literacy experiences. And in L2 literacy experiences, you have a lot of options. Yes, and you will see like this activity in the video with the letters, or there are others like reading aloud, for example, that you can see in the new task. So all of those are literacy experiences, yes? to help students. Excellent. Reading aloud, interactive reading aloud. Well, you have plenty. Excellent. Teachers consider the home environment of children to develop literacy activities such as storybook reading. Yes, storybook reading or also
En esa parte
storytelling.
se refiere como que igual los estudiantes no tienen como una biblioteca en su casa para poder desarrollarse dentro, pero ahí se supone que el profesor como que debe considerar eso y él en su clase tener como, como libros.
Libros, yes. But also remember students at home can have people to tell stories. And there are some schools that invite parents, grandparents to tell stories. And that's also a literacy experience, yes, with little children. Our children, not so little, yes. It depends on the activity really, but that can be done, yes. Thinking of people from outside the school, the community. Teachers promote using reading and writing skills to learn another language. It's a good tool, yes. Promote reading and writing in children. Remember the ages, yes. So this is okay, but remember ages. For example, kindergarten, so 4, 5, 6-year-old in the first one. And in reading, writing, children 8 and plus. So remember the chart we have, yes? The chart. So 3, 5, 6. If we only do listening and speaking with those ages, we are okay. But then 7, 8, 9, if we don't do reading and writing, then we are not supporting the skills. Yes, we are not supporting the literacy of these children. So promoting reading and writing skills in children above 8 years old is a good tool to teach them to develop knowledge as well. We are giving them an extra tool. So don't forget to add the ages, yes? So literacy experiences can be from 4, 5 until 12 and over. So this is very, very broad, but you can give examples. And in this task of today, you will see some examples as we saw the work with phonemic awareness, the letters, and there are others, yes, as I told you. Okay, and the development, the literacy by development, yes. And also how also schools can go to homes and homes come back to school. So excellent, girls. I recommend you to keep on working, but also think of the ages, yes? And in number 4, above all, writing and in reading as mandatory from 7-year-olds onwards, yes? So, and you did it well in the spring games. You did it well when you gave them written words, written short sentences to children. So that is a good tool. It's a good, it's to promote their literacy in a second language. Yeah, excellent, girls. Excellent examples. Only add the elements of the ages. Okay, anyone else would like to share, even if you have a doubt? Or Vanessa, do you have a doubt? Do you want to feedback to upload to the wiki this afternoon?
Profesora, una consulta.
Yes.
Es que yo justo llegué, parece, más tarde, pero usted nos dijo que teníamos que eran 7, pero que habían 3 que ya se habían hecho.
Sí, están en la tarea. Catalina, can you scroll down? Or if you have it there. Son las que teníamos en un ejercicio anterior, Paola. That's why we already consider them done. Tiene mucho que ver con esa, con ese desarrollo. Okay, we will stop. Your first here, yes, Vanessa, your question?
Yes, but it's related with another thing. Can I say in Spanish?
Okay.
Es que tenemos dos cosas. La Pau está haciendo lo del video, como buscando la estrategia del video, y yo del
Ujú.
texto.
Ujú.
Y en el texto, yo no lo puse como el ejemplo que había puesto usted antes, porque se supone que era del wiki y yo entendí como que para el wiki es como recomendaciones nomás.
Pero, yes, ok, pero
Pero en la parte de arriba usted dijo que teníamos que incluir la edad de los estudiantes.
claro, aquí lo que me está mostrando Paola, vamos a incluir las edades, ok, so do not worry.
No, es que me estoy confundiendo igual.
Ok, Vanessa, wait a minute. Vamos a agregar las edades, pero no te preocupes. Vamos paso por paso. Entonces, si ustedes están sacando algunas ideas del video, otras del texto. Está bien, podemos compaginar todo. Ok, we can put together. So, ¿qué es lo que pusieron acá? For learning English as a second language, teachers must teach the children how to pronounce, read, and write. Ok, entonces esto sigue el orden que nosotros ya estuvimos viendo en otras palabras. First of all, pronouncing. First of all, oral language. ¿Sí? Oral. Primero, oral. ¿Verdad? Phonemic awareness, lo que nos mostraba Catalina. Este reconocimiento de los sonidos. Then read and then write. Pero eso es como un amplio rango. ¿Ok? Desde pronunciar las palabras, a luego leerlas, a luego escribirlas. Como todos los rangos de la escuela básica. Si tienen que agregar las edades, ¿qué edades agregarían? ¿O lo dividirían en distintos? Porque está relacionado con lo segundo. Check the second one. Paola.
¿Cómo, profe?
Esto, la primera que ustedes ponen está bien, pero está muy amplia. ¿Verdad? Muy amplia. Va desde
Hay que
pronunciar.
especificarla.
Claro, especificar por etapas, diría yo. Yes,
Es
exacto.
que en el video igual lo nombra,
Yes, of course, it's only one class.
es general, no,
En
no
general.
habla tan específico.
Then students need
La
to
otra
listen.
parte,
Listen. Ahí está, el segundo está lo mismo que estuvimos hablando. Yes. Listen. Paola iba a leer lo que seguía en el otro, que era del video, para que. Yes. Vean, listen. Yes, need to listen, to speak, and then to write. También son etapas. Primero listen, es lo mismo que estamos diciendo arriba. First, listen, pronounce. Then you speak. Yes. Then you read. You join to letters and sounds. And then you write. Yes. So it also follows stages. ¿Sí? Esto también es general, pero hay que dividir las etapas. Then, in English, there are many sounds. Oh, Paola.
sorry. Ahí está.
Yes, in English, there are many sounds that do not exist in other languages. Excellent. This is an excellent point, and you're going to see it also in the other task. Ese es uno de los puntos que tenemos mucho en inglés. Por eso la importancia de oral language, oral speaking, listening, speaking, pronunciation. Because the sounds do not exist in other languages. And in Spanish, this is very clear, yes? Sounds like sh, ch, d, do not exist in Spanish. D, t, they are different. Even the common consonants are different in Spanish. P, b, you have bilabial, b, but you have dentolabial, b. So it's different. Pronunciation is different. So you really need to teach that in teaching English as a foreign language. So this is very important for little children. You can do these games and they are in bases curriculares. Moreover, yes, this is in bases curriculares, first grade, second grade. So we must teach them to produce the sounds. Excellent. So this is the first stage. From 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a must. This is great. It is a process of teaching for life, so they must practice. Yes, practice. Practice, repeat the sounds, the chants. That's why there is a lot of chants in the lesson, in the bases curriculares, vieron que hay muchos trabajos con rimas, con chants, es por esto, es to reinforce pronunciation. Okay, Paola, is it clearer, Vanessa, Paola?
Sí, creo.
No,
Ajá, ok. Y Vanessa, ¿cuál era tu duda con el reading?
no, es que tengo, es que, a ver,
Ok,
¿podéis bajar, porfa?
bajemos.
Ya, espérame.
Ok, ¿esto sacando
¿Acá?
esto qué?
No, para abajo al final.
¿Dónde?
Ajá,
Eso es lo último.
Eso es lo que pusimos con la Gise.
ajá. This is reading.
Sí, el reading and writing. Pero el tema es que, como enfocándonos, es que no sé si, ay, ¿cómo lo explico?
Ok, explain.
Arriba en el ejemplo que usted puso, había que poner la edad y el otro tema, ya. Pero eso según yo son como separados, según esa actividad como del wiki, o es lo mismo, tenemos que hacer lo mismo.
Es
Porque
todo eso va a conformar una lista que va a la wiki. Esto que me acaba de mostrar Paola, con las correcciones que hicimos, y esto también va a la wiki. Es una sola lista, Vanessa, no son dos. O no sé qué es lo que entendí. Es una sola lista.
es que al leer yo por lo menos, yo la tarea entiendo que son como dos cosas muy distintas. Entonces,
A ver,
por
volvamos
eso-
a leer. Puede ser que yo me haya equivocado. Let's go back to reading. Teacher must consider the difficulty level, but also what they need and their interest. Excellent. So this is also very general. This is good. So in reading, teachers need to know the level, yes, difficulty level. Remember, you have different ages. So you have children reading at 6, at 7, at 8, and you have children reading at 12. Yes, different levels, but also interest. Yes, with children, you have to look for what is interesting to them. Yes, and therefore you, for example, when we did the literature course last year, yes, you saw that there were different kinds of reading for different ages, according to their interest. But in general, children like stories that have a challenge or they learn something, yes, that show them some piece of learning, yes, some piece of advice. But this is very good. Only you have to, again, see the stages, ver qué distintas dificultades, distintos niveles. But is it okay? If they are doing listening skills, teachers have to give them prepared tasks with illustrations. It's an activity. So always make connections, yes, between sound and words and images. I always tell you the same, yeah. Always, if you have a word, the image. Do you remember for the spring games? Also, if you were talking about animals, the images, the habitats, the images. Yeah, excellent, always. When students are reading, teachers must give them support. Yes, it's the same, I think, yeah. Reading support is here with illustrations. I think it's the same. And then there was another group in the spring game that wanted to also create a word wall, yeah, so they can see the words written all the time near them. Yes, and pictures, always. Or realia, yes, this is a bottle, yes, always have the elements at hand. Don't make them read aloud because they won't be aware of what they are reading. Yes, it depends. Little children need to go to the different stages. So they need to learn to pronounce the words, yes, letters, then the words, and then they can read aloud. But probably, and there is a video on that, reading aloud in groups so that they are not probably scared or they feel ashamed of making a mistake. Yes, so reading aloud, it depends on the age, on the stage again, yes? But reading aloud is used and you will be like choral reading. You will see that in the other task, yes? Choral reading. And then writing. Teachers must think and create tasks for different ages. Yes, as we said, yes. First of all, when you're transferring to writing, again, letter by letter, letters together, and words and pictures. It all depends on the ages. Yes. Give them space and time to teach them grammar. Yes. 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 And find a way. So there is a challenge for you if you want to teach. So whenever you're teaching these two skills, how can you introduce grammar? And for example, in the spring games, we have some of you introducing elements of grammar. Yeah, I like, I don't like, remember? Okay, so you're always thinking, you already know, or you do it intuitively, but this is also the time to think. I told you the sub skills. It's reading, writing, so listening, speaking, reading and writing, but also vocabulary, grammar, syntax. Yes, so everything starts to, so they are all elements that belong together. Give them time to practice and motivate them every day. Yes, writing takes a lot of practice. We saw you see it yourself in your own experience. You need time and dedication to write, and revision and correction. It takes time. So to them, that is okay to make mistakes. Yes, for all of us. Excellent, girls. So you see you can do it, Vanessa. Great. And be patient and give feedback. Yes, with writing, my recommendation, as I do with you, feedback. Yes, practice, feedback, and corrections. Great. So everything, Vanessa, will go in the same list. Yes? Is that clearer?
Not much.
More clearer or not, Vanessa?
No, así igual.
With reading and writing, so many of the things we have discussed will come back again. Yes. So we keep on reading about education, linguistic theories, yes, and working with focusing on reading this time. So last class, it was in general, yes, literacy in general, reading and writing. Basically, so we focused on both in very general terms. And in this task, we are going to focus on reading, only on reading. And think of these strategies because I am going to send you 2 documents. Task 6 has 2 documents. Task 6 and task 6B, which is only reading text with strategies. But first of all, I want you to think which are the reading strategies that you know that you used in school, at university when you started studying. Yes, so think of that. I am going to send you the documents. They will be on Educandos as well. So it's task 6 and task 6B. Okay, so just think of the facilitating task 6. Task 6 and task 6B is an appendix, and it is a reading text only. Let me see where it is. Okay. Remember, what do you remember about reading strategies? For sure, you know a lot because we talked about them last year. Okay, so what do you remember of reading strategies? We saw them when reading to children, remember? When also you read for yourself, to study, to prepare. Okay, what do you remember about them? Highlight, yes, highlight important words. And so highlight it. What do you do first when you have a reading? What do you do first?
The title.
Yes, you read, highlight, important
Uno
words.
realiza como, no sé, preguntas previas, con simplemente observar el título para ver de qué tratará y todo.
Yes, observe. And yesterday in eventos, we saw a verb, two verbs to help us look quickly through the text. One is skim through the text. And this is what Catalina is saying. Skim quickly, just read titles, subtitles, look at pictures, images. And the other one is flick, go quickly, yes, and see how many pages, for example, a book has, or a text. Okay, so those are previous activities we do when we have a text in front of us for the first time, yes? Skim through the text, just reading general information, getting general information, titles, subtitles, pictures, illustrations. All right. And then we can add another one. Another one was to look here. Here we can write, yes, we can have another one. And what are we going to do? Here we said, ask previous questions. And why do you think that is important? Because, we can write here. Why do we need to ask previous questions to our reading? Why do you think that is useful? Okay, that's better. Colors easier to see, to read. Previous questions too? What do I ask myself? Probably we do this without thinking much, but why do I need to ask questions? What can that help me? Why can that help me? Why is this helpful?
Ask questions, previous questions to realize como un acercamiento.
To recognize. Yes, to recognize, to answer later, but to have a first approach. Yes, this is what Catalina says. Yes, to have a first approach. First approach. To have a first approach to recognize the first ideas. Yes, and think later, how can I, when I read, how can I answer those questions? Yes, focus on answering those questions. All right. Here, okay. And then later, while you're reading, you highlight important words. And when you don't recognize the word, what do you do? What did we say we could do? What do we need to understand? That is not word by word. And this is also for you when you have to write, to read. Sorry. What is a recommendation we can give our students and for ourselves when reading? What do we need to understand?
To catch the principal idea of a paragraph.
Yes, pay attention to the main idea. Yes.
The main idea, yes.
To general messages, not word by word, because otherwise we can be frustrated and stop reading because we don't understand something, one word, for example. To general meaning.
Previous. Lo que nos hace hacer usted a veces cuando vamos a leer un texto, primero nos muestra las palabras, el vocabulario, el significado de la palabra. Entonces,
yes, so search for, yes, so skim, and that skimming is very useful because in skimming, I can say, oh, what is this word? Probably and you prepare yourself for that, yes? Skim through the text, and find out, yes, and find out keywords that you need to know, yes, keywords, and that will happen every day. So I was reading, and also with this topic of democracy, the defector, yes. So that word appeared in the listening, And that was also new for me. So immediately a good learner, yes, because we are lifelong learners, we are in the process of learning all our lives, immediately recognizes, or I think it was also in the title, the main title of the newspaper. And I said, defector. This is a word, not only because I am a teacher and I have to predict what's going to be necessary for my students, but also for myself. Defector. If this word is there, then I need to know what it is. And therefore, skimming is so useful for you to already prepare yourself for those words. So if in titles, in big titles, you have words you don't understand, you know you need to understand them immediately. Yes. Skim through the text and find out keywords important to reading, important to understanding the message. Then while we're reading, we can find one or other word that probably you can understand the message. And if you can understand the message, then you can skip those other words. But you know there are words that are important, like in the listening, the word defector, and then there is a reading with the same text, for example, you know that's an important word because it was in the title. So that means it is important. So you will see that phonemic awareness, for example, that appeared a lot in one of the readings, in the reading from Reading Rockets, I think it is. No, not Reading Rockets. I am mistaken. It is Colorín Colorado. So Colorín Colorado repeats a lot that concept. So, okay, if I can see it 3-4 times, I need to know what it is. Yes, and so I prepare myself. Okay, Paola, it's okay. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Yes, okay, so as you see, there are words that even just skimming, you recognize, you need to know. Yes, and they are keywords that are important to understanding the message. All right. Anything else? Well, we have many more. We can repeat many more, and then you can answer questions, evaluate your comprehension. Or for example, if Vanessa says, no, I'm still not understanding. And that is an evaluation strategy that we always need to do. Yes, even if it is a task, an exercise, or a reading. Yes, how do I feel at the end? Did I understand? No, not completely. So that is a good strategy to see, well, okay, I have to go back to reading. I have to go back 2-3 pages or 2 or 3 paragraphs and find out, solve the problem of understanding. So these questions or these evaluation questions that I ask myself at the end, I don't have to wait for a teacher to ask me and have this evaluation of myself. I can do it myself, yeah? And you might have, many times I was reading over the weekend a difficult text on a topic that I am not accustomed to reading. But, and after 2-3 paragraphs, I had to ask myself, am I understand what is the key? What is the gist? What is the center of this text, this message? And if I didn't understand, I had to go back, yeah? So this evaluation, so we can write them here. This evaluation strategies at the end of the reading are very important. Yes, if I can do the exercises, then that means I understood what I was reading. Yes, if I can do the exercises, then evaluation strategies. If I can repeat, if I can present on what I have been reading, if I can explain others, then I understood. If not, I have to go back and solve problems in the middle of the reading. So all of these strategies, and we have previous, while, and after, can help us evaluation to check understanding, and also not only as a teacher, but I said as a reader, as a scholar, as a student, you need to think of all of these strategies plus others that you will see in text 6B. Okay, so that's only a theoretical text. Yes, that's not that's only that only contains the strategies divided in different moments of reading. So here we have more or less talked about strategies in different moments of reading. Okay, so developing reading strategies, and this is the first part of the task. We need to read 6B document and find out strategies, reading strategies for L2 learners to build comprehension of printed text. Pay attention to the moments of reading. And that is more or less what we try to do here, yeah? So what do we do? First, previous to reading. Oh, here is, there is a mistake, sorry. While reading and after reading. So this is pre-reading strategies, while reading strategies, post-reading strategies. And these are not very difficult. You have to choose. There is a list in task 6B. Only choose the ones that you think will be more useful for your students. Yes, think, and also that will be useful for you. Yeah. Think that your now you will be thinking as teachers and you will have to develop reading activities. So which can be the most useful strategies for L2 learners? Okay, so that's the first one. And the second one is similar. I hope I explained it better this way or clearer. So in the while reading, that's the pre-reading. In the while reading, you will have to access some resources. Yeah, you have videos and readings, and according to this, there is a variety of group reading comprehension activities described here. For example, jigsaw reading, yes, interactive reading aloud. We saw this last year, reading circle. Though I couldn't understand examples, find examples of reading circle, but there is something like literature circle or literature circle. You can find that example. Shared reading, choral reading, yes. That is the one I was telling you about, reading aloud. Yes, the example that Vanessa had, the reading aloud in as a chorus. Yes, so the children do not feel they are competing or someone says something wrongly. So they are all reading together. And reading theater. So we have different resources to see different examples. There are more websites like Fluent2 and Reading Rockets. Yes. Colorín Colorado is the one we saw in the previous task. They also have strategies. And the idea is that you also think, yes, of this in this summary, how can you divide all of these strategies you see here into pre-reading, while reading, or post-reading? So you really need time to, for this research into the website. So just in general, the task in general, we can start now probably with the with task 6B. Yes, to talk about predicting. Yes, predicting. Yes, that's pre-reading. Yes, predicting what's going to happen. Exactly. And later, so we can work with that one. Yes, go to group work. Let's go to group work. and work with task 6B for you to recognize pre, while, and after reading. And let me check, just for an example, Catalina was asking me, yes, pre-reading, we said predicting. Yes, predicting, remember content, what's the content going to be? And that's something you do with yourself when reading, when preparing to read, and also with your students when preparing a reading activity. Which of the ones we were discussing can be a while reading strategy? Which can be a while reading strategy? Remember one of these.
The main idea. The main idea.
Get the main idea. What? General. Oh, yes. And I am seeing some mistakes. Okay. Any other? General meaning. Understanding the main idea. Okay. But I think that's more like an evaluation, like when we evaluate, did I understand? It's more like an understanding. What do I do in order to what do I do in order to see the path to understanding the main idea? What do I do in order to understand the main idea?
What is the meaning of a scheme?
Scheme, remember, read quickly, searching for details, important details. We saw it yesterday in eventos. Remember scheme?
Esa podría ser. Porque después de la lectura no.
That's an example. Yeah, scheme, looking for details, important details. So scheme, just to tell you examples. Then you will look, you have them in the text, so it's not difficult. Yeah. Skim through the text to look for important information in general, keywords. You can find different. And post-reading, what can you do in order to check your understanding?
Yo creo que ahí en post-reading uno debe como identificar después, ¿o no? O destacar, es que no sé de qué se hace, o sea.
As we said when you're checking understanding.
Sí, pero el tema de identificar la idea principal, ¿se hace durante o después?
You check main ideas and then what do you do after, while when you're in the post-reading, what do you do to prove you have understood?
Maybe in the post-reading you answer questions.
Yes. Answer questions to check and prove, yes, your understanding. Yes. So if you can do the activity, if you can do the exercise, then you understood. If you can repeat, if you can answer questions, summarize your summarized ideas, then you understood. Yeah. To prove understanding. Sorry. Okay, just examples. Okay. So will you go now to just skim, yes, go quickly and check the most important information in text 6B. Do you have it there? Oh, let me check if I can share with you or not. This is not. Okay, let me check. Okay, a good guess. Okay, which else do you think you can do with children?
Brainstorming.
Brainstorming, yes. What else? Romina, what do you think? Brainstorming, yes, with children. Yes. a KWL chart is what do you know, what do you want to learn? Yeah. So what do you know about the topic? What you want to learn? That's a KWL chart. What else? Yes, a little bit what Catalina was saying, adapted to the previous activity. If the teacher is not in charge of helping the students with unfamiliar words, the children themselves or you as students can and in this case look with more detail for unfamiliar words. Yeah, so that is a good strategy as well. Previewing, yes, previewing, see the images, the sizes of the letters, the titles. Yes, according if you're working with children a lot with visuals, with pictures, yes, to see purpose of the author. And lots of brainstorming, yes, about the topic, about what the ending will be, which will be the result, and so on and so forth. The message. While reading, during reading. Okay. So the skimming, so looking for the gist. Not looking up in words in the dictionary. So that is one strategy. You can do it better as adults, but let us think for children. What can be useful for children? Come on, one strategy each. And with this, we are finishing today and we keep on working next week. We agree on how we continue. So one strategy each for the taking notes with children. Yes, for you it's okay. Yeah,
O sea, uno puede tomar apuntes más rápido,
yes.
pero los niños.
Yeah, with children, that's fine. Children, yes, making notes for adults. There is something with teach children also. For them not to be frustrated.
Teacher, what is the using word attack skills to attack skills?
Understand your vocabulary, yes. And a strategy to understand words, yes. For example, prefix, suffix, what I tell you. For example, yesterday we were talking about an, remember an, the prefix an, which makes the adjective negative. So that is something we need to do in order to learn vocabulary. Yes, this is one. But for example, guessing meaning, and that is what when we said about understanding the message and not word by word. So that's a good recommendation for little children who can get frustrated, yes, if they don't understand the word. Yes, word attack. Yes, we will check, but that's for older. Yes, when they can recognize the parts of the word. Noting new words. Yes, and highlighting. Yes, highlighting can always be a good reference. And anything else? Visualizing or making a picture about the text. Do you think you can do that while reading with children? Pause, for example, when you are reading with children, pause at the end of paragraph. Yes, so the children can answer. Yes, exactly. So children can answer immediately and check understanding. Or you can also tell them, well, okay, we read up to here and you can make a picture, draw a picture. Yes, exactly. And in reading aloud, paying attention to punctuation. Remember last year we saw the rhythm of reading and punctuation. Okay. And finally, we said rereading, okay, explain, well, doing something with the text, yes, answering questions, diagramming or dramatizing, yes, children can do something, dramatizing in the sense of making a dialogue, for example, with the text. Responding to the text in some case. So summarizing, the older ones can do that. Ask and answer, or do some other exercise in which they show understanding. Yes, we said matching for the younger ones, recognition of vocabulary, repetition of vocabulary. Okay. And this can be for older kids. Some of these can be for older kids. Okay, so you have there lots of useful strategies for different ages and different stages. So that is to our agreement now to see how much of the task you will be able to do. So today we started task 6. So task 6 will go around thinking of strategies and activities for helping children, yes, second language learners, foreign language learners understand text. Yes, so that will be the topic of the second of this task. And you already have some idea of our discussion from the previous task. It's based on that, so we won't be talking of something too much different from that. Okay, so in our agreements, I would like to agree with you that for this afternoon, okay, wait a minute, 16. No, I need to. For next Tuesday, so you need to finish task 5 to share guidelines, yes, the final guidelines, yes, finish task 5 to share the guidelines on the wiki, yes, for beginners, yes. So this class, we already share them, yes, to share the guidelines for teachers to choose reading and writing activities for beginners and upload them to the wiki, yes. So we will do 1 in 2, 2 in 1, and upload them to the wiki on Educandus in week 11. To the wiki, yes, in week 11. Finish, okay, so finish task 5. Yes, and task 6, I think you can finish the first part, which is this brainstorming with the strategies, so that we can continue from there next class, thinking and going deeper into activities for reading, yes, with elementary school students learning a second language. Yes? Do you agree you can do this? Finish. Girls?
The finish the task 6.
No, finish the pre-reading. With in the one you have to just complete with the strategies.
Okay.
The pre-reading exercise in task 6. Task 6. So we are ready with the strategy, and then we can go deeper into the resources to discuss different activities with reading comprehension and how can we use the strategies also to complement them, yes, and think of new activities probably that we can develop or use these ones adapted, yes, with for our future unit, yes. Remember that in this unit, we will need to include elements of reading and writing, even if it is at the very basic level, because we will have several classes to revise a topic and the skills. Yes, okay?
Okay, teacher.
Okay. Groups, connect next class to working groups. Remember, it is a group work and we need to be conscious that we need to share with others. Yes, with the objective of preparing our unit. Yes, so everything we do, the discussions, everything will be helpful to put together our units. Okay, so groups will work online. Next, in the task, next class. Next class. Okay, do you have any doubts about task, about task 6? I wanted to
No.
show it
O sea,
to
solo hay
you
que
again.
completar la primera parte que avanzamos hoy día.
Yeah. Okay, so it's the first exercise only. You can complete with the help of task 6B. The strategies divided in moments of reading. And this one we will do next class, which is also, yes, thinking of an activity that you will design or you will adapt or develop, yes, according to what you know already of reading and writing for elementary school children. Okay, is that clear? Any doubts? Anything you need to ask again? So if it is okay, then we will continue next class. So I will write this, I will add this to Educando so you all have the agreements at hand. Okay, is that clear? Please complete the wikis, please. Just do the corrections we did together, we discussed together, and add to the wiki. So we have that done, checked. Okay, thank you, Catalina. Okay, this hot afternoon, we need some swimming pool. Swimming.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay, see you girls. Thank you for
See
attending.
you.
See you next
Bye,
Tuesday.
teacher.
Bye-bye.